Heath Corson, I'm the screenwriter of Throne of Atlantis.
Nice.
All right. Sure.
Woo!
I don't know.
How, give us the idea. Aquaman's always got this reputation of being uncool and everyone makes fun of him.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, there is that reputation.
There is?
I guess it is. Shock of shocks. What were the challenges of sort of taking this character and making him cool? I guess is the right word.
I have to say we wanted to ground Aquaman. We wanted to make him a really different Aquaman. This is Aquaman Begins. This is an Aquaman who is unaware of his heritage. He's unaware of his Atlantean background. He's a guy who doesn't feel comfortable where he is right now. He lives in a lighthouse with his father. He's just lost his father, and he is drawn to the water, but he doesn't have any idea who he really is or what he wants to be, and he's angry about it. And it was a really interesting place to start with the character. It was really relatable, it was really emotional, and it was a real nice place to start so that we could bring him to King of Atlantis. So that's what we started. That's what we set out to do.
This is based on the comic storyline, right?
Loosely based on the comic book storyline. I would say the plot points are similar, but the character obviously is not clashing with his brother yet because he doesn't know he has it. That becomes a realization, and then once he goes head-to-head with Orm, obviously Orm becomes the big bad, and the Atlanteans are still invading. So that is the main plot point, but we really get emotional and deep with the brother-brother fight once that becomes aware.
Are there other elements that just really had to be changed because of the differences between comics and animation?
Yeah, I mean, we had to change Aquaman's relationship with his mother and that realization. Obviously, his relationship with his father, and then what it was going to look like when these two brothers went head-to-head. And there's some real heavy-duty Game of Thrones stuff in there. Orm is a
Aquaman's gonna die?
bastard. Yes.
Aquaman's gonna die?
Spoiler alert, he's gonna die in the movie. Sorry. Yeah. No, he does not die in this one.
So just,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Just because we know that Aquaman, you know, it's just want to know who you made the villains out to be, because it's Black Manta,
yes,
and Aquaman, but it's also the Justice League coming in.
That's right.
Who would you say are the real? Is it Aquaman and Black Manta, or more like the Justice League trying to go towards Aquaman and Atlantis? Like, who would you say like the villains are for this story?
Like, who are the real villains in this one? I will tell you that's actually a great question, because I think villains have to be relatable. You have to understand what it is they're doing. So in this movie, everybody is actually right, and everybody has a point of view. Even Orm is actually correct in everything that he's talking about. You know, he's out to protect his people, and he's serious that the surface dwellers are a problem to the Atlanteans. So he's not wrong. The Justice League, in protecting the surface world, are not wrong. Aquaman is not wrong. So it's really interesting when you have a bunch of people, you can't go, so it becomes very murky to say who is the villains of these pieces, because you can look at it a bunch of different ways and go, oh geez, everybody's right. And that's a really interesting place to position the audience, because they're going to go, oh, that's cool, wait, that guy's right, oh no, wait, that guy's right. So it's going to be an interesting experience, because there's no clear-cut bad guy. Manta's pretty bad. I would say Manta's
we know.
Manta's pretty bad.
You
mentioned about the relationship with his mother.
Yes.
She's never really been like she's been mentioned, but they've never actually given her like actual, you know, a spotlight. What can you tell us about that?
When we start, she is the Queen of Atlantis. The king has recently died after the events of Justice League War. In Darkseid's attack on the Earth, and the Atlanteans blame the surface dwellers for the death of their king, and they declare it an act of war. Now the Queen is trying to keep a lid on it. She thinks that they should stay hidden, and that they should stay peaceful, and the surface dwellers should not know anything, not even know about their existence. So she is a very powerful, bold, strong leader. And you will see Orm smash up against that in his drive for war against the surface dwellers.
Will we see any new abilities from Aquaman that we've never seen before?
I don't know that you're going to see anything you've never seen before. It's going to start in ways that you've never seen it before. Because they're new to him, he's very surprised by everything that happens. Okay. So that's going to be some joyful realizations once Arthur Curry figures out he can do some of this stuff.
Any Cthulhu action?
Cthulhu action? No Cthulhu. We see some trenchers. Okay. We get some crab guys. Like, there's a lot of sea life that we play with. There's a shark moment that I think everyone's going to be really excited to see in there. So we pay a lot of fan homage. I will say it starts with a drunk Arthur Curry in a seafood restaurant talking to a lobster in a tank.
That's great.
Oh, yes.
So that's a nice tip to the fans.
Is it hardest to then?
Well, it felt like with Justice League War, you were building towards something even bigger.
Yeah.
And are we still trying to invoke that same feeling with this one? Because we found out it connected at the end.
That's right.
And it felt huge. It felt big and all encompassing. Are we getting the same thing here?
That's right. This is even bigger. This is a all-and-out invasion of the entire planet from the Atlanteans.
The entire. Okay, it's not just a seaboard. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's bad. It's bad news. And these guys are pretty powerful. Like, Aquaman's their leader, but he's only one of them. And now if a whole bunch of them and they decide to attack the surface world, we're in big trouble. We see a huge tsunami about to hit Metropolis and wipe them out. So there's some major stakes in this.
Okay. I was just going to say, as a writer dealing with the Justice League Adventures movie, and then dealing with this new sort of wave of movies in which it's like, let's focus on Cyborg, let's focus on this. Which is, as a writer, is that more challenging? Is just trying to sort of make this Justice League kind of secondary to?
That's an interesting question. It's never secondary. I think it's always great to have a nice focus and have a nice arc with someone who is your main touchstone. You know, he's the person who has the origin story of that movie. You know, in the last one it was Cyborg, and this one it's Aquaman. And then we still are continuing the dynamics of our Justice League from Justice League War. So you're going to see the same dynamics that we laid out. Batman, Green Lantern don't necessarily like each other. Cyborg and Shazam are trying to figure out their place in the world. You know, Cyborg's trying to deal with the fact that he's part machine. And how much can you replace in a man and still make him a man? At what point does he feel like I'm just a machine and that's all I am? So there's a lot of really interesting things. Also, I always think it's really interesting to have the second adventure with a team. Because the first time's an accident. Yeah. The second time is like, well, we've done this before. We didn't necessarily do it well, but like, are we a team just because we've done it twice? What are we now? Are we a bowling league that just gets together every week?
So when the movie, I feel like, has a lot of different locations that they can use. Obviously, we're going to see Aquaman on land, but I'm saying when the Justice League go to confront him, are we going to see them go to Atlantis, or is it all going to be on land when they?
You will see the Justice League go to Atlantis.
Batman underwater.
Action figure underwater.
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying they all go, but you will see some of the Justice League go down. But let me just say this. If you send your heavy hitters down to Atlantis, who does that leave to stop a huge tsunami with Metropolis? And how is that a problem? It's like, what's Batman going to do when a tsunami hits? So let's say you left Flash and Shazam and Batman to stop a tsunami.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you ask some people with Batman, it's about planning.
Yeah, right?
He planned it, yes.
It's like, I planned for this.
Yeah, the Bat God.
All he really has to do is stand in front of the wave and go, I'm Batman.
That's right, and the wave stops.
And the wave stops.
For something.
It's like, well, tsunami repellent spray.
You will not see the bat shark repellent.
I was getting ready to ask that too. We're going to see the repellent
no hanging
spray.
from the helicopter.
No hanging from the helicopter.
Shark repellent. Right?
That was from the Batman.
The 60s.
The 60s, yeah, the Adam West.
What was the hardest thing for you to adapt, or what was the hardest change you had to make for this movie? Can you talk about that? Or?
Yeah, I think it was a challenge because the Aquaman in the comics is not the Aquaman of this movie because he's not already the king of the sea. He's not. I mean, in issue 4 of Justice League of the New 52, he shows up. He's like, who should be in charge? It should be me. And he's the guy. Like, he's already king of the Atlantis. He says I should be king of 30% of the world, or 70% of the world. Make me king of this other 30%. He's not that guy yet. So that was a major change. So we had to sort of track Arthur Curry stepping up to become a hero, to becoming Aquaman, to feeling part of the Justice League. So that was a really interesting, different thing, and it takes us off the rails in a really positive way from the experience of the comic books. So you could read the comic books, you're still not necessarily going to know what happens in the movie, which I like doing, and that's something that James Tucker is really big on. He's like, we want to give people a different experience, because if it was just about the comic books, you could go read the comic books. But this, we want to give people a real different experience, and I think we do.
So I know that there's. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know.
So polite. So polite to each other.
Is there going to be further exploration about Wonder Woman and Superman's relationship? Are we going to see more from them?
We take another step in Wonder Woman and Superman's relationship. And let's just say it gets a little bit more complicated because he has started to see a certain reporter at the Daily Planet who interrupts them on a little date.
Last question.
Yes. Oh, did you have one?
Oh,
no.
I was going to continue on from. Well, you were saying that Aquaman is, a very different character in this. He's possibly, it sounds like, more vulnerable. I guess you've touched on this a little bit, but how does that affect all of the other relationships that he has? You mentioned the father, his mother, and everyone else, but I guess as far as the Justice League.
Well, I will say one of my favorite moments that's there. Not to spoil too much, but. Arthur Curry's angry. He's never known Atlantis. And for Mara to come to him and say, you have to come down and help save Atlantis, he has no connection to these people. These are not someone that he's grown up with. He doesn't know his mantle. He's like, what have these people ever done for me? I have no idea. And it's Superman who says, if I had a chance to spend even 2 minutes with the place that I am from, that would be worth it. And it all sort of comes to him, and he's like, oh, that's an interesting point. Like, this guy is a survivor, and I'm a survivor, and from a different place. And so there's some interesting connections that he makes with different people. Yeah. Done. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Pat Grant, I'm just kidding.